Hello, hello. How art thou? Me too. A peculiar mood, which, if I were to fit into a label of preference, I would say, well, I don't really mind being peculiar and feeling it at the same time, too. My peculiar mood is in part on account of, uh, I think, getting a ridiculous amount of sleep following a song, dance, sun, drug infused like day of no sleep, which was glorious. I haven't done that in a really long time. So there's parts of me that are quite integrated. There's parts of me that are quite integrated, but not quite in the right feeling place. I also just woke up as per my ritual, out with some smiling and some laughter, which cannot be dismayed. Simultaneously, I am at odds with maybe myself, which is my world too. Hi, my name is Elliot, and I can be very, very logical. And if I were to synthesize any of my skills into particulars, one would be I'm like I recognize myself a self-acclaimed master of explaining the hard to understand while being very Piscean, not my sun, nor my rising, but my moon, which is always kind of rising and falling. In my case, mostly falling. But right before it starts to rise, um, basically, just super hard to relate to a world that doesn't recognize the validity, the fluidity, and the majesty of that which doesn't make sense. I hope that was convoluted enough to express my disclaimer of this video, maybe especially. It's going to be a little bit always sideways, maybe hard to understand. As I come and like communicate from that place within myself in order to arrive at something that feels a little bit more rung-like, something I can climb or at least grasp onto. Very powerful turn of phrase for me is the know thyself. I'm confident I knew that before I like heard of it or whatever. Before I watched The Matrix in theaters. I think I was like 14 or 13. I think I was 13. But it's always kind of been my goal which seems kind of like, I don't know, isn't it everybody's? But the more I try to figure it out, the less I could relate to other selves. You know, you try to know thyself through thy company. And in my relentless search, I'm pretty relentless in just about everything. Not really finding enough like me to really feel like not just an I don't belong as like a statement, but I don't belong like a discovery. And so as a result, I can say with confidence that there are very few, if most likely just one, anyone else that knows, that has traveled to the brink and depth of heartbreak that I have, for my willingness to find my heart. I don't know. This doesn't need to be sad or morose or anything like that. Because if you're feeling it, that's lovely and it's within you, but it's not really within me. I've healed mostly from at least that tangentialized perspective. And where I am somewhat at present, not really, is, I don't know, this aim to reconcile. I don't know if it's a pain. I don't know if it's a wound. I don't know if it's a shield. I don't know if it's my truth. But I've never wanted to know the future. Like, that's never been a superpower that I wish. I think in my experience with others, it's quite common to kind of want to know what's going to happen and we want to know the outcome of anything, you know. Whereas I've always been desirous of surprise. I can attribute that part of that to my like ever, just the way that I'm kind of wired. Probabilities make sense to me, and by virtue of the way that I'm wired, I've always been connected to the waves, that the like intangible waves that probabilities surf, and so they inform me, despite reason, despite logic, which creates quite the paradox within my sense of being, because I'm also very logical or reasonable. To myself and to like love and nature and beauty and goodness. If I were to take one thing and describe it in those few different words. Because other people's logic is at ends, often with, I don't know, a further logic that seems to reach into their, like, I don't know, or I don't want to know, but sits quite firmly in my, like, how could you not want to know when you claim to know? So knowing thyself being such a dominant pursuit, I believe, for all of us noble spirits, noble souls, I come up against an other truth of like, I want to know thyself, but like I also just like I don't want to know everything, or I don't want to know that. Here, I guess it's the part that like the self-confessing vulnerability slash what I refuse to let go of part. Like I don't want to know that I'm in control of everything. If all of us each are like all powerful creators, I don't want to know that what I say goes, and that all I have to do is want it and believe it. Certainly a wound of mine, which I know has like really deep cosmic and spiritual soulful roots, is like something whatever what I conceptualize as true love, and others like affection and care for me, and it not being found upon uh, some contrived sense of what I can do, because it's hard for me to move through the what I can do end of sentence being like what I can do for you. So part of my life very much has been uh, a little bit doing things wrong and coming upon like the very real like aspect of skill, mastery, and acquisition of like doing things wrong the first time, maybe as wrong as you could conceive it, so that you know what's wrong instead of just think it. And then from that place, um, I don't know, just test and try and challenge all the wrong ways to do it until you come upon the no wrong way, rather than start somewhere that works, confuse it with the right way, and then enforce it. So maybe like the missing part in my perception of knowing thyself is knowing what others, I think we'll come back to that, because a part of creating anything in the world is co-creation. You can create whatever the fuck you want all by yourself, but unless you are all by yourself, then your creationary act needs to needs to be participated with and thusly co-created with those others that perceive it. And to experience your creating reality in that way so as to not be domineering or enforcing, but more option providing. So knowing yourself by trying yourself, I want to say against, but I mean like if I'm sitting right next to you and your thigh's on my thigh, like we're Our thighs are against each other. We're trying them against others. And having others kind of inhibit and maybe embellish aspects of it. Because it's clear to me, at least, that no matter what we know how to create and our reasons for it, nothing is ever as awesome as its emergence with the infusion of some aspect of even better that someone else brings to the table, even if that something else is an even better perception of who you or who I think I am. And that brings me to the missing part of Know Thyself, and that's this. I'm going to say confusion. That knowing thyself precludes others, and that knowing thyself precludes deciding thyself. That knowing thyself is, in whatever way rubs the wrong, an act of creating the self to know. Along with like the paradox of self that I spelunk is to know thyself. It's almost like being told, if you want to know thyself, it's like you're asking, even if you're asking yourself. And so you're telling yourself, who am I? What am I? Why am I? Is a question answered with love. But it's quite harrowing to arrive there. Less and less for more and more as time continues onward, at least until another grand cycle or mysterious flip occurs. But that's beyond what I really care for, because fuck it, we're there now. But to know thyself, one must know the self that they wish to create. And so an aspect of knowing thyself can be within this veil of the past, knowing thyself by virtue of, I don't know, trying to understand what thy was, and then arriving at the potent present appreciation. That's a fine word to use this right now. That's why I said it. Appreciation that thou can be anything in this moment, unarrived from the past, if so chosen to be informed by it, and yet detached. As detached as one could choose to be. And that's challenging, because we want to belong to a sequence that is our story. And so it's like a multidimensional, I want to say, gate, that's also a trespass. A want, a can't have, and a yet is. Towards a future that is always just that, of choosing who you will to be in evidence by virtue of your actions. It takes knowing at least what you aren't yet. And maybe that is part of, again, my own resistance of, I don't want to know that I'm everything already. Because that doesn't exist in me. I'm ever more, and yet, like, that doesn't need to be accompanied with a hunger or with a sense of not enough or a sense of like wanting to be more than I am, but just wishing for the adventure to be continuous. And really, can anyone really know thyself outside of knowing others? Because you can think whatever the fuck you think about who you think you are, but it doesn't mean shit until you have to be yourself next to someone. And then there you are. And can you really know yourself if no one knows you? And can that relationship be non-codependent but mutual, like lovers? We could choose otherwise, but we choose wise other. That's good. I feel like this post is a little bit of a continuation of my last few posts, and um, I have weird words to use to describe what I feel, but they don't make sense, like Mercury. It's I don't know. It's my curiosity at present. I've become quite close with a few friends here in my neighborhood where I live for now, and it's done really right to anchor me here, sort of. What it's done really well at anchoring me to people that I love deeply, and like I would like a lover. It's like I don't. It's not time that's given us each other, but who you really are inspires a fullness of love that somehow feels complete. The mystery being or rather, maybe we're answering it together, this riddle of more and completedness. I just want more. But it's like, but I'm complete, and the more is in the completedness. And then like conversation and like what I am and my vibration and my own kind of, I want to say egregious harmony, lifting their own concerns about life in general and their trials and their heart's wishes about around a better world. Because in friendship and communion, I'm certainly the voice of the world's getting better. Just look. Like, look, we're doing it right here. This and more of this is the better world that we deserve. But how do we bring that into fruition? Because I don't mind admitting I hate where I am right now. I don't want to be here. It doesn't feel like my magnetized. And yet, I'm here. And I can't reconcile or refuse that my being here is one. Any kind of failing on my part, fucks that. I'm awesome. Nor I'm here because I have to be or I'm supposed to be, my role and blah, blah, blah. Well, fuck you, fate. Because if that was so, I wouldn't feel this way. So fuck your lies. And I fucking, like, all the things that I love to do, I realize how I've been doing them previous out of a sense of necessity because the world's a fucked up place and doesn't need to be, so I need to make sense of that. And then I did, and then I have, and now I feel like everything that needs to be done to make the world gorgeous, like you, has been done. You just kind of have to play the reel. I had to kind of get over the fact that I was doing it from this sense of desperation and pain and suffering for and from all of us. And then being like, well, would I still do all that shit if like I was free? And then arriving at kind of like, yeah, I would, in a manner, just with a smile on my face. But the smile doesn't really come from the doing of those things. Like, magic's real. It's fucking cool. Like, we, as our human vessels, is fucking, they're cool. What's possible is really cool. Extraterrestrial alongside multidimensional beingness, separate from magic, you know? And by virtue of our humanity, it's fascinating. Numbers, shapes, sounds, the sigh of it all. It's intriguing. And I want to say, maybe a kind of never ending as far as that adventure of completeness goes. But none of it thrills me. If by continuance of my confession and really just my persistence of truth puking. I don't want to do anything by myself. I don't want to do anything not next to someone. Because what I'm doing doesn't make me smile. They don't even have to help me, because that's not what this is about. What inspires me is like the joke, the beautiful, the incidental beautiful. You don't even know how beautiful you are. And I'm not going to tell you, but if you look over here right now while I'm appreciating your beauty, you're going to have an idea. So the world needs a way for the people to get along. And we don't need to change the people. The desire is already there. It's the way. It's non-existent, truly, in temporality. It doesn't exist right now. And I can conceive reasonably, rationally, using all kinds of technology. By that I mean physical, electronic, emotional, mental, to manage our resources through the heart field. Creating systems that not only break stupid systems, but break themselves. So that, like the ancients, when we disappear, we don't leave a fucking bunch of garbage after us. But no part of me wants to sit where I am and figure it out. Whereas all of those actions seem sunny. Like just do it around. The people that are like me. We're co-questing instead of asking me questions. We're co-creating instead of doing things for each other or needing things from each other. And I don't know if this conversation has brought me any closer. Just because I don't know if it has doesn't mean it hasn't. I feel like perhaps one of the, and I guess that makes sense, one of the hardest kind of like hurdles to hop in the imagination of the other is the shackle of the monetary system and the shackle of the calendar system. The shackle of the calendar system being the days and nights, the smallest fucking scope that we place ourselves in, the like the majesty of our time. We sequester ourselves to this 24-hour ism. That's like highly convoluted and manufactured so as to break us down. But like, you don't, nowhere is it written that you're awake during the day and you sleep at night. In fact, I remember a very cool conversation I had a year and a bit ago, before my, I would say like galactic interference, if by that it could be constructive, just touching my awareness. But just likening how different, how easy it is to conceive of really different types of people that are super complementary in a better world where shit isn't so faked. The sun would be up and the sun would be down, and the needs of the community at those times would be different. And so I imagined like a village in the forest, you know, wherever we fucking settle. And there would be, I would think that out of necessity, there would be that population of people that live there that spent a larger portion in relativity of their time awake when it was dark, you know. They're the night watch. It's the population of people that like that guarded when it was dark, when it was hard to see. Because if everyone sleeps when everyone sleeps, then whatever isn't sleeping can kind of like prey on that, which isn't here nor there, but it, you know, nature loves a challenge. So there'd be like a group of people that whose biology, whose like spirit in form would evolve with aptitudes that make the night bright. And it would be, there would be a lineage to it. There would be an ancestry, because like, who are you going to fall in love with if not the other people that are also awake when you're awake? You know, so there would be like an aspect of humanity. You know, this doesn't have to be fantastical. Just go back a few hundred, 500, 600, 700, however many years you want to go back, where you can realistically appreciate humanity's like aliveness, where it was dark. And dark wasn't scary. It was just a different amount of light needed to see. So that's kind of how I, at that time, and sometimes still now, kind of think of myself. As like a night watchman in a world where, for whatever reason, like the day watchman waged war on us. And I say for whatever reason, not like there couldn't be a reason, just more like there could be probably a lot. You only really need one, and it doesn't need to make sense to hate someone. But there's no such thing as night anymore. Not if you live with other people around. Like I don't know if there's night anywhere anymore. Because we blot out the night with all these fucking lights. We tell ourselves that we can't see in the dark. We tell ourselves these lies of of what wasn't possible at night, so we had to this and we had to that. And it's so lazy, it's so simple to believe those lies than rather to conceive in something greater and more awesome, because that would mean that we're greater and we're more awesome. We're just not being it. How do we create a world like that again? Which isn't anything except honest and a clearer reflection. Bonjour. Of where we came from, where we're going, and where we're at. It just doesn't have to be a story. It doesn't have to be a lie. Like, how do we go back to now together in a world that's just true and not based on outright lies? What are the steps we take to create this world where everyone's so fucking afraid? We teach them to be fearless. And then ultimately accept also that not everybody is going to, it's not that simple. What does that even mean? Open your heart. If you don't close your heart, then your heart's just open. And just an open heart bleeds everywhere. Like what are the steps? And I mean, that's, again, like, I know lots of different steps that can be taken, but I don't know shit unless I'm saying it with someone doing it too. Because I don't want to know where I say goes. That's not royalty to me. The sovereignty, the responsibility of like a king and a queen. Isn't that they know better. It's just that they lead there. And then it's just about opening up to others' energies. See, like I can find super fault with that. Then we're all just vampiring each other. That's not cool. I don't want to be open to everyone's energies. I don't want everybody to be open up to my energies. That's emotionally irresponsible. It's energetically irresponsible. And a step along the path of mastery. But, well, yes, because I said so. So not no. I am actually. In fact, I've started listening to things in other languages and hearing sense. It's interesting. There's just so much more to the truth of the world than initially meets the eye. And then maybe I'll end with this ish, or let it lead to the end. This grand facade of money, which phonetically is a robbery of power. It's kind of why I've tried at least to be energetically full of care whenever I say that word money, because the mo and the n and the e and the ya and the e, like those are powerfully resonant frequencies of sound that have been subjugated by a false liberation, a false esteem, and a false sense of lack. Just don't make sense. So it breaks things. It fragments them in a lazy way. Rather, it engenders laziness. And yet, money. And how little we need all these structures. I'll share it with you actually, because it's worth putting into the ether in this form. What's come up a lot in conversation with my friends, and just realistically, is the complete and utter unreasonableness and like sacrifice of our power, of our sovereignty, that is having like a police force. It's funny, all three of us guys, were like, when we were kids, wanted to be police officers. I think the first answer I ever gave was like a fireman, and then which is like, haha, that's actually so like soulfully hilarious. Uh, and then like think Fahrenheit. Was it Fahrenheit 9/11 or Fahrenheit 9? No, it's a fucking stupid document. 451 or whatever it is. But it's like, yeah, it's because as like little children, we had in us this concept of wanting to be there to like protect. But that's not the police. It's not law enforcement. That's not the legal system. The whole legal system enforces all the crime, all the abuse, all the hate. It like demonizes violence while like using violence to just basically abuse people and say who gets to do what when they get to do what. I don't need a court to tell me anything. I don't need a police officer to save me. I can't. Every single powerful encounter I've had with a narcissistic person, they always resort like super quickly to calling the cops. It's like, what are you calling the cops for? And in my experience, based on like my being present to them while they like just outright lie and create this false circumstance in which it's like, this is why I call the cops, because blah 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 blah, because there's all this crime going on right now, and really it's like, no, it's not happening at all. In fact, first of all, we're having an argument. Second of all, we're having an argument because you're abusive. But all you have to do is like pick up the phone, call 3 easy to remember powerful numbers, and be subjugated to the rule of law, which basically amounts to like some empowered people, empowered by virtue of their weapons and the illegal nature of one's ability to be self-sovereign from violence. They don't give a fuck about you. They have quotas. They have all the other kinds of metrics to make, and are reinforced with all kinds of cultural biases and such. And then And then forevermore, it's whatever they say goes. It doesn't actually, the truth actually doesn't matter. Like, the truth doesn't actually matter. Like, look at like the legal system, look at courts, look at trials and all that shit. Juries, just like, does that look like the truth matters, or does it matter what you can prove? Is it really innocent before, if unless proven guilty, or is it actually everyone's fucking guilty? Just depends on, uh, just depends on whatever. There's no justice in that. It's like it lifts justice away from us, each other, and into some arbitrary illusion of equality that really just maintains a power structure of enslavement and abuse. It's like in that village where I'm a night watchman and you're a day watchman, we're family. And if someone that we is part of our tribe all of a sudden acts really out of the ordinary and does something really monstrous, uh, it isn't about killing them or locking them up or ensuring they never do it again. It's only understanding. And maybe, you know, a sword through the face is justice, but maybe it's not. And then when somebody new comes along, you know, and it's like a whole community of people giving that one new entity varying levels of and degrees of like trust and responsibility. Then like you don't do bad things when the bad things that you do are to the people that you know. The same legal system is the same monetary system of value exchange. It's not a matter of like, I made this clothes for you, or I made these clothes for all people. It's not a matter of, Elliot, I'm making you your coffee today. And then you're giving me a smile and your courtesy, your enjoyment as my return. No, it's all just, we take smiles, we take coffee, we take everything, and we monetize it so that the thing itself no longer has value. It's like, here, donate to this cause, donate to this, donate to that. It takes away from the truth of the action, and gives this power to the value of how you came by that money and what you have to do to get more of that money and make sure you got enough of that money. And then because fucking people are lazy thinkers, and I don't blame anyone, because like if you're not a lazy thinker, you're also probably not suffering nearly as much as avid thinkers. I don't even know. I'm just using words, but people think that the world needs a lot to go around, and that there's something, I don't know, fucking barbaric about truly having simple needs: a roof, family, older people, younger people, food, and freedom from borders. That once upon a time, not so long ago, there were no countries. It's hard to understand and hard to believe because our history's been rewritten. But it's the truth. And what have been like, what's been usurped and then claimed as countries, were really just like provinces of different ideals. It's like, I want to do this. I believe things are kind of like this way. It's like, cool. I don't really believe that, but you're more than happy to like be around here. And then you learn. It's like, oh well, like there's people over there that kind of are more aligned with kind of how I roll. So I'm gonna go hang out with them more. It's like, yeah, cool. You have lots of little pockets of truth. And then, fuck, the world becomes its own body because not everybody's trying to be a liver or a kidney or a heart. None of us are just hearts walking around. It's a whole system of supplying and demanding, which is not a fucking economic concept. I know. And maybe I will do a meditation again, but I'm just not there yet. Because I want to be next to somebody. And I don't want to have to recreate the whole damn world before that happens. Part of manifesting is deciding what's not good enough. And I don't want to have to be able to like mold reality just to be at its like simplest. Everything that's fun and possible after that, sure. But the best, it's not even of what's to come. It's like the best is really what is and has been, but occluded from us. So fuck that. The work's been done. I want now what could have been if it weren't for like the sins of our fathers, the sins of our mothers. And in love and in forgiveness and acceptance, not just of fathers and mothers, but of us being the fathers and mothers. All of that. Just let it fucking be simple and be in the love already. Peggy, you ask a bunch of really personal questions that are inappropriate in this forum and in general, but in this forum especially. Who do I want to be next to? Really? I'm gonna like say that here? Should I give you their name? What's the value in that? What do I truly want? I think I mentioned it. And that's never just the answer. That's like um, a supposition. If I look bothered, then you've never seen me bothered. But I do have to pee, which is a good thing about drinking a couple cups of coffee before I do one of these things. It keeps me on point, keeps me on time. But I do want to thank you both and everyone, all, for joining me in this peculiar distillation of what I want to be steady and what I want to be still. But it doesn't feel like that yet. I don't want to know everything. That's I appreciate that. You can and you can also not. All of us have the opportunity to manage our emotions. And when you can know that there's been no hurt flung at your heart, go in there, look deeper, and find the hurt, find the reason, change the reason. It's probably gonna hurt more, or not. I don't know. That's just what I would do, and that's just what I've done. And we're all just trying to figure it out. When I say I know things and I know how to this and all that, yeah, man, but it's like one way. And maybe because I know actually that this isn't the way people hear this word, so I have to actually be a little bit more explicit. When I say I know something, I'm always saying I know enough of it for now and that I don't know all of it. I had to learn that the hard way, that the most of the world uses that word like it's like an absolute. I know this. Okay, I know this. But part of knowing anything is knowing you don't know it all. And then people write that on their fucking t-shirt. Knowing is not knowing. Well, duh, but like all you're doing by saying that is creating some kind of truth from the opposite that doesn't exist. Knowing while thinking you know it all is not knowing. It's not a thing. So knowing that you don't know, I don't know, just breaks reason. I do have to pee. And I don't know what I'm going to do after this. I don't know if talking here brought me any closer to anything, except maybe uttering what I want to be close to, and that's important enough. All right, all right, all right. Danke for everything. Until again, and again, and again, and again. Let love reign supreme and be the peace that and be the peace that beds us. Pretty like you, peculiar like me. Have a great day. And maybe again, and again, and again, and again. I love you, and us. Namaste.